Well, Matt Hammitt is with us now via Skype. And Matt, we welcome you to the show today. Good to have you here.
Thanks, Terry. Good to be here.
Well, as your band Sanctus was making a name for itself, you married Sarah. And for a long time, it was you, the guys, and Sarah traveling in a van. Very, very glamorous, I'm sure. What were those years like?
Yeah. So, 21, we got our first record deal. And so we officially hit the road, and I got married that same year. And so Sarah hopped in the van with me. And for 4 years, until she became pregnant with our first daughter, she spent those years on the road. Really, we were completely broke, sleeping in our van a lot of the time. Just, could barely afford hotels and living the dream. So she was good to me to follow that dream with me.
Well, you spent a lot of time over the years after baby number one came away from home, just because it's the nature of what you were doing. By the time you had baby three, a toll had been taken on your marriage and your family. Share that.
Yeah, I had already felt that tension that so many people feel, which is this tension between work and career dreams and family dreams. And so when we found out in April 2010 that our third baby, our first boy, only had half of his heart, that added a whole new stress in our life for Sarah and I to walk through. And from April to September of that year, we just had to wait and pray and visit all these specialists and trust God that after Bowen was born, just hope that he would survive. And, we knew that he was going to have multiple open heart surgeries, possibly a transplant. We knew it was a chronic illness. And so we knew that life was going to change for us.
Yeah. You finally reached a breaking point, and the breaking point was really because it was impossible to be what you wanted to be at home and continue to fulfill your responsibilities with the band. But no easy decision in that, because that was your sole source of income at the time. Yeah. What was it like to come to a determination that you could trust God and walk away from what was familiar into something that really hadn't taken shape yet?
Yeah, maybe it's not quite as literal, but for me, that really felt like maybe something like Peter trying to step out of the boat to walk to Jesus and keep his eyes on the Savior. That's how I felt. I was like, man, putting one foot out of the boat and kind of testing the waters, it's hard, but to put your full weight onto something that you don't know will hold you. You completely have to trust God in that moment. And that's really what it felt like to me when I knew that God was calling me to make that decision to step away from the band, from being gone for 200 plus days out of the year, to focus on being there and being the best father and husband that I could possibly be. And God's blessed that decision.
Your book is called Lead Me, and it's the title of, one of your biggest hits. You were singing that song for quite a while before you made the decision. Tell me what's behind that song and how God was using it to speak to your heart.
Yeah, I wrote that song on a day when my wife, through tears, expressed her desire for me to be a better leader for her emotionally and spiritually. These are things that are hard for people to say. They cause conflict in marriage, when we approach our spouse and ask for these things. And that day, God really gave me the grace to hear what she was saying to me. That day, I wrote the first draft of the song Lead Me, but that didn't by any means just change me or our marriage overnight. But it was the beginning. It was the catalyst to a greater conversation, and me taking my good intentions and turning them to action as the leader in my home. And that's the Lead Me journey for me. That's the heart of the song. And that's also the unfolding that is the heart behind this book as well.
Some people would look at the decision you had to make, Matt, and they would say, well, he just couldn't have it all, or he traded his dream for, but that isn't how you see this. Talk about priorities and what God's taught you through this.
Yeah, absolutely. God's given us gifts, and, he leads us how we use those gifts in a context that he's calling us to, for his glory, and also, for the sake of our health and the health of the ones we love. And so I didn't feel like God was asking me to actually set my gift my giftings down. He was asking me to use them in a different arena. And so, I try to look at life like not what I have to do, but what I get to do. And I think it's a great privilege to be a father and a husband. I believe it's the greatest privilege that God has given us in ministry.
Yeah.
And so I feel real privileged to be able to devote more of my life to that.
How is Bowen today?
Bone's doing really well. He's still living with heart disease. He had his third major open heart surgery last July. But in the season that he's in, he's thriving. And most of all, his joy and his passion for life and singing and all of it just reminds us that we're grateful for every day that we have.
Want to tell our viewers that you can learn more of Matt's story, and it's well worth learning by getting his book. It's called Lead Me, and there's a message for all of us in it. It's available nationwide. Matt, thank you so much for sharing your story. Good to have you with us.
Thank you, Terry. It's good to be here.
Bless you.